Guys, welcome yet to another episode of In Conversation With. I always tell you guys every week, it's a new week, new lessons, new guests, new things to learn about. Today I have this amazing, beautiful lady, kind-hearted, but today we're going to talk more not only about her personal journey, but also her work journey. She is a social media manager. Big names, guys, big words out there, but we live in a world that is very much dominated by social media, and it's either individually or as a business or organization, communities. Social media came into the game and it changed the space, but there's so much to it. We've learned that there's careers now in the industry, there's so much into it, and today that's exactly what we're going to be learning about. But before we get into that, help me welcome my guest. Hi, Ms. Bongega, how are you?
I'm well, Nomcebo. Thank you for having me. It's quite exciting, and I haven't done anything like this before, so thanks. So I'm Bongega Gumede. I'm from Durban.
Kaya, guys, my hometown.
So basically, I'm now here in Joburg and working as a social media manager within the travel industry, which is also a very exciting space to be in. Very challenging because of some of the things that have happened with COVID within the industry, but it's still a space that is growing and is in demand. People are not holding back on their travel plans.
No.
In spite of the economic challenges, people are saying we were in the pandemic, we spent so much time
indoors.
We are going to make the most of traveling. So I'm very excited to be in that space as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about social media because I think it's a space that's really exposed me to different industries. I mean, I've worked for personal care. I worked at Nivea. It was quite like the first role that kind of really gave me my big break. And then I've worked on an agency with brands like Mercedes-Benz. So I've had a really great run in this social media space, even though I never saw it coming, because my background is journalism. So I studied journalism because my passion's always been writing, my passion's been people, and I just kind of saw myself as someone who's going to be, writing stories. And I did that for a little bit, but as you know, most of us journalists and communications people, we've ended up in various industries
that we didn't think about.
And I would actually advise someone, to really consider that space just because it opens up so many doors. I have friends in corporate communications, in heading marketing teams, PR, digital marketing, a big one, social media, a big one. So what you study can be a stepping stone to a career that is exciting and fruitful for you. So you really don't have to say, this is what I studied and
this is where I'm going to be.
This is what I'm going to stick to. Especially with us communications and media people, there's so many opportunities
within the space.
Yeah, and it's so good to see, especially now, because what happened before is that it was kind of like that field that was like, where, how, why.
I think there's some of us still today who still think, where, how,
why,
exactly.
And you have those moments. I've questioned my career for since I started. But every time that I get into a new space and a new company, new industry, new role, I actually realize how amazing and how blessed I am to be in this space, and how in demand the skill actually is. And there's also no limits to where you can be within digital.
I think I like the freedom of choice within the industry, because a lot of other industries are a bit sorry to say, a bit black and white. It's either you're doing this or you're doing that, and you get to hit the ceiling so quickly because now you've worked your way up, and then you are here, and then that's it.
Then what?
But within the advertising industry, gosh, there's so much that can be done. I envy you.
So you actually remind me of one of my mentors, my manager at Bayersdorf Nevia where I worked, and she was so inspiring, and she used to say, you know, you can work anywhere. I mean, I see you can work at Facebook, you can work at Google, you can work for, you know, companies. I mean, now there's TikTok. I mean, imagine working as part of the team at TikTok, but you are not only limited to social media platforms. You're actually, you can work for great companies. You can work for tech industries. So it's really good. And I remember one time, because I mean, I was still starting out, and you know, the salary, you still like try to, what am I gonna do? And so small. And I went to her this one day, and I had heard of like a friend of mine who was actually younger than me, and she was in pharmacy, and also my younger sister is in pharmacy.
They're probably earning more.
Yeah, and just started working and killing it, and I was feeling so down this one day, and I was like, oh, you know, yeah, like this is what's happening. And she said, in digital marketing, give it a few years, you will earn way more than them.
But again, I think it goes back to the passion that you have. Like a lot of us would have left some of the jobs that we've been, but because we're just generally passionate about communication and just being in those spaces. So even if they give you little, your passion is like, wait and see. I believe like your manager was your passion, reminding you like,
she was
give
amazing.
it time.
She was such an amazing person. Yeah, so basically you're right. I mean, it's not really around the salary, because we communications media people get into this because of passion. And love. So you kind of just, it's kind of like being a drama is the same, right? So you go into it for your passion, and then but realizing that there's such earning potential down the line is actually also a source of motivation, right?
Definitely. Sebenzelani, we're trying to work so that we can build empires. I really love what you are sharing, and we're just flowing into this conversation, but we're going to try to pick it up a little bit.
Sure.
I honestly believe that you never actually have a clear picture of how far you're going to go. You got into the industry as through journalism.
Yes.
That was your idea, that was your plan. But as you were moving along, you realized that there's room for opening. I struggle with a lot of people who are like, this is me. We're very good at putting limits for ourselves. We're very good at saying, I've hit my ceiling. But if you are in a space like the one that you've just described, it allows you to think further than also the knowledge that we have at varsity or at high school. This is the knowledge that I have. Until you actually get into the corporate space, you actually see that, no, I can learn more, I can get more. There's so much more into it.
There's so much more.
Take us through to Bongega when she was a girl in Durban. Did you ever have an idea that this is what you were going to be, this is what you're going to do? And what ideas did you have about yourself as a young person growing up, and which channels did you see yourself following?
Okay, so I grew up in a very protected home. My mom was very strict. I mean, a very traditional Zulu girl. My dad as well, the same very strict family that I come from. So the rules were there. I was the girl that even ran away from boys. So that was me.
Run.
Even today, I haven't like gotten around the fact that I'm an adult and I'm not supposed to run. So I'm stop now. I need to stop running. Right. Come on. So basically, I grew up in a home that was very warm and very protected, and with parents that really wanted us to succeed. I come from a family of three siblings. I'm the eldest of three. So also that thing of being the eldest, you wanna kind of like
Pave the way,
be that girl. And I mean, in school as well, I mean, straight A students, that was me. And then also, I spend most of my time at church.
Girl, there's no other roots.
Honestly, I just,
Jesus is the answer.
you know, so esikoleni ke, I would get teased now and then for umamfundisi. So yeah, I was literally, that's me. So I describe myself a lot as a late bloomer in most things, in everything. So that's kind of like the kind of person that I was in terms of what I loved. Like I said, church, singing, very creative.
Can you hit a note for us?
I'm joking. Let's come back to that. So very creative. You know, I would write drama plays for the youth at church. So I've always seen myself as a creative person. At school, besides just academics, I was in the choir, musicals. And then I did this one year the Orators Contest, which is like a speech contest.
Yes.
And the teachers choose the top students in the class who had the best speeches, and then kind of the whole assembly listens to all those like top 20 speeches. And I won the Orators Contest this one year. So I actually always saw myself as like a motivational speaker. I actually saw myself, and I still want to be in that space, you know.
A lot more.
Yeah, more influential, inspire people to go for their dreams, to believe in themselves. So I really do see myself, and maybe it's somewhere between, you know, church and community, because I am a strong believer in God, and I also don't see myself just motivating without bringing God into
the
it,
picture.
you know. And one
guys, I found my twin. I found my twin. As you are describing everything you are saying, I'm like, wow, it's amazing how different people can have so much similarities in their journeys.
Wow.
I did my first speech at the age of 6 when I was in grade R at the time. So like, I even remember, I can even still recite for my speech.
Wow.
And then I was the head girl at school from grade 10 until matric. So I know that
when I didn't become the head
girl,
girl.
it hurts. I know how it is. I got saved at the age of 16. Well, I would always been going to church with the family, but when I understood it, I was 16.
Exactly,
When I chose Jesus, I was like, this is the path for me.
Yes.
So as you are speaking, I'm like, that's me. But also the most beautiful thing for me that I'm getting is, since you were born, you've always been in the communication space. Can you feel that? The love that you had for people, not being shy to stand in front of people, the speeches that you did, the singing, you've always been since you were born. I realized that at a very later stage of my life, that actually I've been since the beginning. We put so much pressure on ourselves because we've set the space as, I want to make it, without actually looking at the journey. You've always been exactly what you were created to be and what you wanted to be. God decided when you were brought into this world, you realized your skills and your capabilities. Now He's just channeling you through. Because you didn't do all those speeches and then you sitting at back office as a technician or in IT. You're not doing that. You're right at the forefront.
Sure.
In traveling, you're right at the forefront. So you've always been a purpose-driven girl.
I'm so inspired right now. That's amazing. And
guys,
wow.
She's me, I am her.
No, that's really incredible that you actually see it that way, because sometimes we get caught up in the details of the actual title. And it's so much more important to pick up the lessons and the things that you're learning and the skills that you're picking up, instead of being like, well, I'm just a social media manager. but seeing that no, I'm a communicator, I'm a writer, I'm a collaborator, I'm a stakeholder manager. You know, I'm a creative, I'm a content manager.
Yes.
You know, you actually, you're such a diverse person that you can't really box yourself
in one title.
thing. And even outside of work, there's things that you love that you can actually see that, you know what, this is who I am, and
Yes,
and you're more than your title. You're more than who you're even more than who you are today. It goes back to what you're saying, that I've been a communicator. You've been a communicator from before you had the title of being a communicator. So it's just about understanding our identity in Christ. And also, but not being limited to a title or a thing or waiting for a day when you'll have a title or you'll have someone endorse you and say, well, you're actually a singer. So, but
why must I be surprised? Because
you know,
I should know that.
You
that
should
I
know.
am. Like, oh, I am.
Exactly.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So to just know who you are and look for who you are, because I don't think we ever stop discovering ourselves.
Who you are. I think whenever you stopped discovering yourself, that's when you're done with your life.
Yeah.
Then that's when God can be like, okay, then we're done. On to the next
on
one.
To the next.
So it's a day to day, and I love how diversified all our talents are. You can speak to different people in different industries. I like how diverse they are when it comes to you're not limited into one thing. Here we are, we're talking about communications and media, but we've spoken about so many things and mentioned so many people's careers. Now let's get back to the social media thing before we get out of hand.
Right.
Social media is so good.
Yeah.
We've described it. And I believe it's also so bad. Let's take it to the individuals. We've spoken about the businesses and how they're doing it great. Let's take it to the individuals. What's your take on how people are with social media? I've seen good things. I've seen bad things. I've seen the good influence in young people. I've seen horrible bad influence in young people. What's your take on the whole thing as social media as a tool? How are we using it?
Yeah. So as you're mentioning that, I'm actually thinking about the fact that it was Mental Awareness Month last week. Last month. And you know, one of the things that I've been thinking about is how social media affects my mental health. Because there's so much competition out there, and there is so much of portrayals that are not reality. And people are wanting to live up to a standard that actually doesn't exist. So it actually can get really frustrating if you're trying to, emulate a specific individual or a person who has actually gone through a different journey and has a different background, and you also don't see the struggles that they go through. Because social media is a highlights reel. You know, Instagram's highlights. It's
like you choose the best part of it all.
I mean, we take like 50 pictures, and we choose out of 50, you choose like 3 or maybe even 1, because you're like, no, my expression, my face, my pimple, my hair, my eyelashes, my tummy, you know, all these things. So, like, if you think about it, once you get into the social media space, you need to understand and view it through a lens that it is a platform to portray and to market yourself. It's actually a marketing platform. So as an individual as well, when you're posting on social media, you need to think about how you are putting yourself out there, right? You need to think about, who am I? Who do I want people to see me as? And at the same time, ask yourself, when you see other people's posts, have the maturity to know that that's not who they are, that's who they want to present, right? So it's a I think when we see it as a presentation, as a marketing platform, I mean, fine, you're an individual, but at the end of the day, you're still marketing yourself, right?
This is what we're gonna see when we see you.
Yes. So if you put a picture out of yourself, you need to think, is this representing me? Is this the message that I want to put out?
Across.
Is this what am I trying to say to people? What is the outcome that I want to get?
This.
So I think for me, that's one thing that I've learned about social media in terms of how to navigate the space as an individual. You need to think about your career. You need to think about your family. You need to think about your friends as well. So you need to be responsible. Another mentor of mine, she used to say that social media is like a billboard, because she's in media. So she's a media manager, and she'd say it's a billboard for everyone to see. Once you put it out there, it's like the billboards you see when you're driving past. We're all looking at it, right? So we forget that just because it's on our phone, it's my phone, it's my social media, it's my people. Those are not your people. Those are Facebook and Instagram and TikTok audiences.
That's a business audience. They are making money out of it.
They're making money, and they're tracking what you do. Have you ever noticed how you might have a conversation, and it will be funny after this conversation what I get served on my Instagram or my Facebook or my TikTok or Twitter, because after you have a conversation, you find that you get served certain things.
Try looking for one couch on social media. Now all the couch ads are just gonna come. Who's looking at that? Who's monitoring that? If it's your people, if it's your phone, if it's your social media.
Exactly.
I get
so
what
we're
you
getting
mean.
tracked. We are being seen as audiences. We are being served content. It's for the benefits of primarily marketing. Even though we do use it as a space to connect
and communicate.
And there are some great movements and communities that you can tap into, to grow yourself as an individual.
I think, Bongiga, it goes back to what I was saying, that it's good and it's bad. It's a tool. Now I'm actually realizing it's a billboard, like you were saying. So it mainly depends on how you are using it. I really love what you said, and I honestly feel like I wish everyone out there, especially the young girls, can hear what you were saying. It's how you are presenting yourself to us.
Exactly.
You need to think about your family, you need to think about your friends, you need to think about your church members, us church girls. You need to consider all those things before posting something as simple as a picture. One thing also, you need to think about your future. Imagine you are out there posting all the not so right things on social media, and then few years later you now want to be taken seriously as a professional person, or you get a calling. Now you need to be maybe a pastor, you preaching, or maybe you're a CEO in a boardroom. You need to think about how is this going to affect me in the future, because it's not going to go away. It's still going to be there. These days, when you go to an interview, the first thing they do is they open your Facebook page.
Exactly.
Depending on what they see there, already they have a perception of who Bongiga is. By the time you sit down, they're already waiting for you to prove that are you what you've posted on social media. Imagine if you've posted yourself as the opposite of who you are. So now they don't get the actual person that you are.
Yes, I think those are very valid and very important points to remember, because in a small or big way, we're all influencers, right?
Yes.
So even when I'm selecting influencers to work with different brands, we've had to sift through their social media. And one thing we see that definitely doesn't align with our brand, or why did they swear? What was this?
Why are your boobs out?
Why is this? And and it's not to judge, but brands are critical and
based on what they are looking for.
Exactly, about who they want to align with. So you need to brands are like people, and you're also a brand. So brands appeal to specific people because they're like personalities, and people appeal to certain brands because it's all about personality. So you need to also be aware, especially if you're an influencer. You need need to be aware of how you're putting yourself out there. But like I said, we're all influencers in a small or big way. You're still an influencer.
Whether you have 5 likes or 5,000 likes,
you're still
an influencer.
So yeah, so like I mean, it really, when you talk about the good and the bad of social media, I really think about mental health, and I really think that there needs to be a conversation, especially around mental health in relation to social media, and how to navigate it and how to use it best. What are the ways we can leverage it? Because I mean, people have grown great businesses from social media. They have set up great movements and done amazing things.
Yes, communities are closer, we're connecting with each other.
We're free to express ourselves, but in our freedom of expression, we must have a sense of responsibility.
I get you.
To be responsible for what you say, because the communicator is responsible for how the message lands,
received,
right? How the message is received. It's not the receiver who has that responsibility.
No, yes, actually.
It's your responsibility as the communicator to make sure that the message lands properly. So if people misconstrue what you were trying to say, you can't then say, oh well, they can think whatever they want to think of me. That's not what I wanted to say. You're responsible for the
what you were trying to say.
So if they interpreted it that way, then you have a responsibility. Then fat shaming, body shaming, all these things that are happening on social media, you can't say, well, that's just my preference, my opinion. It's your opinion, but you're hurting someone else. Racial comments we've seen. People have been fired from companies for saying weird things on social media, or making weird comments, discriminatory comments, things that, technically you should have thought of a little more before you said it. But then you liken social media to your little tea party at home. But like I said, it's a billboard.
Everyone is watching.
Exactly.
Okay, this is so amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I know you and I can go on and on and on, but I honestly feel like in everything that we've shared, there's something that's there for someone to learn. You can then just be ignorant if you don't want to take anything from what we've spoken about, because you've shared so much, and a lot of people just think like, I can do whatever. They forget that consequences quickly come. And social media is like you putting something and then it's not going to go away. You're just going to find it there.
Yes.
And people are not shy to go through the files. How many files of people have we dug right under the grave, and then we find out that
one little thing.
At 14, there was a model that was disqualified from a competition because of what she posted on social media at the age of 14.
I remember, yeah.
And now she's 20-something trying to do something. Yes, it was a racial thing.
That, yeah.
Now she's trying to do something with her life, and then we files.
Now she has to apologize for what she did at 14.
Be careful on what you put out there on the billboard for us to see. You need to understand that you are evolving, you are growing. The things that you think are things you like and want right now, you're going to realize as you get older that no, actually that was so naive, that was childish. But if you're going to use social media to pack all these files with this information, we are never going to forget. You're going to be out there in the pulpit as a pastor, and I'm going to be here with your file and be like, really, it is a tool, a great one. Use it wisely. I like what you said about there's so many good things that have come out of it. Businesses, communities built, jobs. People are making money out of it. Instead, you want to trend for 5 seconds and you actually don't do anything about it.
You'll actually find that a lot of people who work with social media are not even on social media. So it's the funniest thing ever, because we're so aware of
the dangers of
the thing. So eventually you just feel so consumed by the knowledge and the understanding of the audiences and the targeting and what you're doing that you're just nah, this is not what I'm trying to do.
So guys, Ongega is not on social media.
I was, but there's a few platforms that I've kind of, but I'm still there stalking because I'm just lurking.
You need to stay
I'm lurking
updated.
and I need to stay updated and I need to follow business pages and all of that. So I'm definitely there, but I'm just not there for just
the wretchedness.
Yeah.
Thank you
true.
so much, Bongega, for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Girl. I really appreciate you for doing this.
It's a pleasure.
Guys, see you again next week. This is In Conversation With, hosted by yours truly, Nomcebo Msane, and my beautiful guest, Miss Bongega Gumede. Thank you, girl, and we are out.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you.